arrogant, throwing fits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting the fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us, and y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Try to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing, obviously never silent. New alignment, I'm defiant, can I describe it? Used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard, I always got carded. At every bar, even though my bar's been the hardest. The scars on my face that I ain't always been the smartest, but I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeves, even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve, I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve, even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will ever see. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve, I can show you where my...
The type of guy that would ride with the breeze. I'm higher than most people, I'm cold and icicle freeze. I'm liking to Mike Tyson, I'm a bison, a beast. I'm hot like Jamaica, like right by the beach. My pops is from a spot where they're fighting for peace. 8 years old, out there watching people fight in the streets. All these sirens only make the violence increase. Yeah, we're still not loving police. It's that bright young American, nice, dumb, arrogant. Tight on a mic, but he might need a therapist. Heart full of kerosene, head full of fairy tales. Said that you're my homie, you don't know me, but I know you very well. Roll back on some West Coast shit. This whole track is wetter than your dress code kiss. About to hit the track, running on some retro fit. It gets so lit, I guess so, bitch, now let's go.
I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeves, even if the beat stops, my soul will not leave. If I never stood tall, nobody will...
It's Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. You know what time that is. Little sports nonsense and whiskey. Hanging with the boys. One's on his way. He'll be here shortly. Pinky, my boy, my guy, how you doing tonight?
Oh, buddy, I am good. I'm really sore from the gym yesterday, but I feel good. I feel excited. Got lots to say, lots to discuss. I'm ready, man.
I love it. I love it. Well, with that being said, anything that you'd like to discuss in the nonsensical parts of the world? Any side quests that you'd like to venture on right quick before we jump into some things here?
I am I think Robert's got us on the nonsense stuff, but I am almost done with The Boys season 4. I've got 2 episodes left. I've been enjoying it. I feel like I want to say like 1, 2, 3, 4. I just feel like all the show knows what it is. It stays to its core. You know, there's the moments that really like, whoa, I can't believe they did that. And then, you know, it's the characters and
it's what happens when somebody has a defined
vision,
beginning, middle, and end before they start a project, and they go in with that clear picture, and then they execute it, and they're allowed to execute it. I think it's cool. I didn't know. I don't think a lot of people did, but it sounds like, from what I've heard, the creator, director guy has always envisioned and only planned on doing 5 seasons. So his story has been meant for and purposed for that scope, which is brilliant because it's not like your standard TV show that gets to like, you know, years 6, 7, 8, and then it kind of loses its way a little bit. And then maybe 9, 10, it comes back around and ends, and the ending may be good, it may be bad. Nobody really knows because they never really had an idea of what that was going to look like at the beginning to begin with. You know what I mean? So the idea that this was a full story envisioned already of how it was going to be told, I think has helped it along the way.
I'm still not sure it will be the end. I think it'll be the end for now. And I think
maybe, sure. But correct me if I'm wrong. The current creator of this iteration did say he had only planned on doing 5, right? Like that's
Right.
his
Now,
vision.
he also was part of the creation for Supernatural, and that ended up with like 15 seasons. So, and he
Well,
also,
when you're
I mean,
on the
he left.
WB, I mean,
He
the
left
WB
that,
needs to keep
and
anything that people watch going for as many seasons as it possible, or the CW or whatever it's on. I don't think the WB even exists anymore. I think it's the CW.
it was the WB then the CW, but I know what you meant. He was part of that as well, and he did leave after a little while with that as well. So he could leave, and somebody else could pick up the mantle if they so choose. If there's more they want to tell, which again, it's when you talk about a universe, they could easily shift the universe somewhere else. I mean, everything's focused around Homelander. So in the end, if they kill Homelander and in that story, we're still in, the boys' universe, and they could just shift it somewhere else, right?
Absolutely. I don't mind that at all. I did watch the one and only season as of right now of Fallout. Damn, that was really good. Way better than I expected. I expected to be entertained. I did not expect to love it.
I
really
was
good. Really good.
The wife was also into it, and we just ran through the whole thing. Like, it was real quick. So
what's up?
There's Robert.
Cheers, good sir. So I was stoked watching that and then talking to you guys and finding out there's a season 2 that will be happening that they're in
What are we talking
production
about?
for. Fallout.
Oh yeah. No, it's a great show.
Super cool. I loved everything about it. The
games
the
are
further
great.
along you got, the more little bits and pieces they gave you without giving away everything and all things. And
I love the games.
I mean, I've never even played the games, and just the way they told the story was phenomenal. So
10 out of 10.
So it was really well done. Robert, do you have any other nonsensicals that you'd like to discuss, good sir?
Nonsense. The Penguin is awesome.
I haven't started that yet.
I know you guys are gonna be fucking lame and wait until all the episodes
Whoa,
come out.
easy.
No,
It-
just have to catch up on a lot of things. A lot of things being caught up on.
Caleb, you have an excuse. Pinky doesn't. Well, he kind of does, but not completely. You gotta watch it at least, bro. Like, it comes out on.
You're lucky you're not coming into work tomorrow, because I would.
Actually, no, I will be coming into work tomorrow to get that boot from you.
Okay, well then.
So I'll be seeing you. You can smack me around tomorrow. That's fine. But no. Season 1 or episode 1 was phenomenal.
Hey, Diddy and Diddy Jr. Easy.
Episode 1, 10 out of 10, immediately brings back like where the Batman left off with Robert Pattinson, the fallout from the flood, and it just takes off. Really excited for where this goes from here.
What would be cool is, and it won't happen, but what would be cool is if they just took that world and then made that DC's world and expanded from there. But James Gunn wants to make his own stamp, and that was production before his coming. He allowed it to continue. We'll see what happens with Pattinson as Batman and things of that nature. But
so this is like
it's Elseworlds.
Matt Reeves' world.
It's Elseworlds is what we're calling this. And there's still a planned trilogy of Robert Pattinson's The Batman. So we'll get the second one that's currently the script, I think, just finished. So it's on its way. And then whatever maybe comes after that. So we'll see.
I liked his early rendition of a Bruce Wayne Batman. I mean, watching the idea of him evolve from there in a completely different sense than what we saw from Bale and Nolan. I like what they did with the first one.
So one of my favorite Batman,
it's definitely darker than Nolan's.
My favorite Batman, Batman stories is Year 2 Batman, because it really it follows a lot of that story. Like, he's just putting on the eye makeup. He's just like starting things out and becoming the Bat, and he hasn't figured out the persona of, oh, I'm Bruce Wayne the Playboy and I get everything that I need, but I'm the Batman and know I am the Dark Knight. So I am loving this whole thing with Robert Pattinson, because I think he's doing a great job with it. personally, for me, it's one like it goes Batman with Michael Keaton, Dark Knight because of Heath Ledger, and then The Batman with Robert Pattinson. That is my top tier live action Batmans, and then closely into that third would be Ben Affleck because I loved his portrayal of older Bruce Wayne, and I really wish we would have gotten that movie.
I have to rewatch
The Batman.
because
it's 3 hours.
The Batman,
like,
yeah.
You gotta.
It's good.
So good.
Good.
I that's a regular rotation of mine. Like if I'm just hanging out and I'm playing games, like, oh hey, let me just put on the Batman in the background just because it's just so. It's got the stuff.
Lord.
All right.
Otherwise, other nonsense things, nothing. Actually, hold on. The Hal Jordan had just been cast today.
Yeah, I saw that. They're going with a much older version, eh?
So Kyle Chandler will be Hal Jordan, who is mentoring a younger Jon Stewart. So I'm interested to see where this is going to go.
Is this a TV show or a movie?
I believe this is a TV show, if I remember right from the DC slate, but I could be wrong. I'll have to double check that.
Dune spinoff starts in like what, a month and a half?
That starts soon, and then I have not watched it yet. I haven't seen it grace my timeline for whatever reason, so I don't know if it's actually out. But Thunderbolts with the asterisk has been announced, and there's been a poster and some images released. It looks really good. Some of the costumes look great from what we had seen leaked earlier this year, so I'm hoping they took into that some of that fan feedback. So we'll see where it goes. But that's also happening, so I will
Skeleton
get back to you
Crew
on that
starts
trailer.
soon as well, right?
No, that's not until December, unfortunately. We got some time.
December. Okay, December.
So we got the Penguin right now, Dune Prophecy, that's about to begin. There's a little bit of lag between those, and then we'll get Skeleton Crew, because I don't believe anything else is coming out in between then TV-wise.
And then you get the real life fantasy with what we all wanted to be when we were kids as cowboys, and Yellowstone starts its last season here. Yellowstone's awesome.
I mean, it's great, but I'm not a fan of where they're at behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, Kevin Costner
needs to
and
get
the director, the creator decided to play hardball with each other, and that's the end of that.
It happens.
Kevin Costner went and made a film that flopped on its ass like most of his epic sagas do, even though it might be actually good.
It's on Max.
Yeah.
I might actually give it a watch.
Did they push the second movie back?
Yes,
the second movie was supposed to come out then.
Yeah.
They delayed it because of how badly it performed in the box office. So that way everyone would get a chance to take it in at their homes and get a better opinion of it.
Hoping it'll. Yeah, they're hoping.
I watched.
I'll watch it. Like, I love Waterworld. It's one of my favorite B movies. I love The Postman. That's an epic long ass saga. Love me some Dances with Wolves. Epic long saga.
I did the first 30 minutes and I was kind of bored. I was like, what? Where is this going?
Movie?
I would have expected that from you.
I was like, where are we going?
That's fair.
It's a Kevin Costner Western saga. So it's not going anywhere quickly.
Well, the first part of it, in the first 30 minutes, he's not even in the movie.
Sure, that makes sense.
Like it's not, he's not there at all. It's like somebody trying, like, one group settles in this one area, the Indians kill them, and then another group settled in this little valley. Yeah, and then Indians killed them too. Like, it's
like 18. What did Taylor share? 1894, 1850, whatever it was.
1892, I think it was.
Yeah. Where you actually start with the old man and his story, and then in comes like the main character, and the old man tries to like chase him down, So Kevin Costner's just recreated what he's already done, added to the stuff he's already done.
No, I'll finish it eventually. I was like, it was kind of getting late, and I was like, why am I watching this? It's kind of boring.
Good old Kevin Costner. So we'll see what happens there. Right. I love Yellowstone, so I'm interested to see how they finish that story.
the last thing that I'll leave off with nonsense is that Francis Ford Coppola's like Odyssey, whatever he's been trying to get this movie off the ground forever, Megalopolis, is coming out Friday. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm intrigued. But if I will highly recommend you do your research on the behind the scenes of the making of this movie before going to see this, because there's been a lot of interesting things. I'll just leave it at that.
All right.
So that being said, let's talk sports.
Like Leo and his anime that he can't get off the ground.
Not necessarily that, but close.
Okay.
Sports related. I just got an alert from somebody I follow on Twitter. Tickets for the Dolphins-Titans Monday night game are just $33 and continue to fall.
Damn.
Sounds right.
Let's be honest. Nobody wants to go watch that garbage.
Sounds right.
I'm not even worried about that game being on Monday night. I'm like, the game is Detroit and Seattle. That's the game.
We'll get there.
All right. Yeah.
We'll get there.
College football?
Well, before we get football, because once we start, it's just going all football heavy here. Real quick. President's Cup starts this week. That's like the Ryder Cup, but it's not America versus Europe. It's America versus the world. So not the same hype and intensity that the Ryder Cup has, but it's still fun golf to watch. Completely different atmosphere. You know, the crowds are yelling, they're rowdy. Players are together as a team, so they're hyped and cheering each other on. So it's a different kind of golf that's fun to watch. So if you don't have anything else going on this weekend, obviously there's a ton of football, but that will be on as well, and it's definitely worth commercial.
I'm not watching my football on Saturday. I'll tell you that much right now.
It's worth commercial and halftime viewing. If you're a big football fan, it would be worth tuning in then. So that's going down. Ohtani is now at the 53-55 club. Last I checked, unless I missed something today. So if I'm Ohtani, let's say he finishes 55 home runs and 57 stolen bases. At the end of the year presser, if somebody asked him, how's it feel to be the first member of the 50-50 club? I would say, I don't know, but it feels great being the first member of the 55-57 club. Like, that's what I would iterate, because
he needs to pitch to get a strikeout, and then no one touches it.
They want to talk about like just these round numbers, but he's set a benchmark. So I wouldn't let them short it at less than. I would make sure people realize what I've done is above and beyond, and I'd reiterate those numbers for people because they're insane. They're absolutely insane. And I said this a while back. I still believe he pitches this postseason. I do.
Oh,
the Dodgers starting five is thin. A lot of injuries, a lot of issues. I was listening to the Dan Patrick Show, and Jeff Passan was on there, ESPN MLB Insider. And he said he was sent a video from an MLB scout. And when he was watching the video, he noticed that Ohtani was gripping the baseball with his splitter and his something else, his splitter and something else. And Passan asked the scout, is there a reason he would do that other than if he was doing it intentionally to, say, come back and pitch? And the scout's response was, I've never seen someone rehabbing throw those pitches unless they were ready to start pitching again. And that was a week ago, basically, when I heard that interview. So we're a week away. Next Tuesday starts MLB playoffs. So it will be very interesting.
The Detroit Tigers are on a wild card, baby.
Easy there, Tiger.
Hey, I'm just
it will
excited,
be interesting
man.
to see what Ohtani does, because if he pitches this postseason and pitches well, I just already the best baseball player to ever play the game, in my opinion. Talked with my cousin. He said, my cousin, who was a former MLB pitcher, said it's the greatest player he's seen with his own eyes. It's what this guy's doing, rehabbing. This is a rehab season, which is just crazy, man. Just crazy.
It's really amazing, and I think you would agree, Caleb. No team is under more pressure to win it all than the Dodgers. Like everybody else is playing with house money.
I want to agree with you, Pinky, because I totally understand what you're saying, and you're not wrong. But I feel like if the Yankees don't win, especially with the gap they've had since their last World Series, the pressure's always there with New York.
But I think for the Yankees, the pressure's from their fans, not from like the entire baseball community. Like Ohtani took $750 million and said, I'm only taking like, what is it, like $1 million for the next like 10 years or some shit. So like you don't do that and not like completely say like this is all in.
Yeah, baseball was not happy that the Dodgers were allowing him to defer 99% of his contract for 20 years or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, man. The casual baseball national media hype for the Dodgers was real, and they were the favorites. And you know, they got Ohtani and Yamamoto in the offseason. The two biggest acquisitions you could possibly have. They already had Freeman and Betts and Kershaw and Buehler, and I mean the list is huge, right? So yes, those expectations are real. I feel like every year the Yankees start with that level of expectation, and it never goes away. I mean,
but over the last like 5 years or so, a lot of that expectation is mostly from their fans versus from the entire Major League Baseball community.
Maybe. And I don't disagree.
The Dodgers, they won that one, but they've been stacked for years.
The COVID one of all years too. Just like LeBron's COVID championship, everybody likes to throw the asterisk next to that, and I mean, it's a championship. Everybody else had the same opportunity to win it, so I don't really care about that. But nonetheless, people like to bring that up. So they're chasing their own tail in a sense because they want another one to prove that one wasn't a fluke. But we're 4 years removed now, right? Well, no.
As of now, yeah.
Well, no. Hang on. Yeah.
That would have been. Yeah. Because I think they started up
4 years removed from that championship. So
because they did a 50-game season, if I remember right.
Something like that. It was something like that. So we'll see what happens. But again, their pitching staff is depleted tremendously. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with said Dodgers. Yankees are playing fairly good ball. I mean, Judge is having another insane season. Multiple 55 home run years, is the only player in Yankee history to do so. That's crazy when you think about the fact that Ruth and Maris and some of those guys on that home run tip were doing that with the Yankees. So incredible.
He hit 56 today. I want him to get 60.
It would be crazy if he could get there.
I don't think he's going to get 6. What did he do? 63 last year? I don't think he's going to hit that.
Yeah. Here's the difference. They're not pitching to Judge. The Marlins manager came out and said he wasn't like it was. I didn't like it personally because you still play the game, right? You still play baseball. So if you're still trying to win and part of not winning is not pitching to the best hitter, then you don't pitch to the best hitter. But he's like, I didn't want to disrespect the game like that. I almost feel like you disrespected the game by, quote unquote, giving him a free pass to do so and make history. So I think in that sense, you could say it's tainted if that's what the manager really is talking about and doing. It's not, don't get me wrong, but play the game the same way. If you weren't going to pitch to him before, don't pitch to him now, right? Pitch to him situationally only because somebody's on and you don't want to give him a free base in that sense. So that's I don't like hearing a manager say I didn't want to disrespect the game, so we pitched to him. Were you going to pitch to him before or not? Like, what were you planning on doing? So, but nonetheless, history. And he was probably going to get it anyways. He may not have been as far over the 50-50 line as we're going to see him get. But he still, I believe, would have gotten it. Judge is making history too, and it's not being talked about because of what Ohtani's doing. And Judge probably, if he wanted to, could realistically steal 40, 45 bags. It's not like he's a slow dude. He plays center field for the Yankees. Like, he is an insanely athletic human being as well. And he's 6'7" or 6'8". Ohtani's like 6'5". Like, these are abnormally large baseball players who are insanely athletic, dominating the game.
So, one last thing on Ohtani, and we got to definitely move on. I was listening to podcast stuff, and I had a YouTube short come up, and it was Rob Lowe. And he had he's a big Dodger fan. His Dodger love is out there. And he had gotten to go into the locker room pregame, I think it was. And he said, yeah, I walked in. Ohtani's got his jersey on, but he's just in like athletic shorts. And he's like, hey, can I get a picture with you? And Ohtani was like, yeah, man. Got completely dressed. Completely. Like everything. He's like, he got on his socks, his shoes, his pants. Like, he was completely ready, and then took the picture. And then
Japanese man.
Rob Lowe said the coolest thing. He was like, so I go back to my seats. I'm sitting down, and I get a text from, my agent or his agent or whoever. Was like, hey, can Ohtani share your picture? So Ohtani asked for permission to share this picture of them too. Like, I was like, that's really crazy. Like, he doesn't have to ask. Like, it's both of your pictures. Like,
cultural, man. Different.
And
it's
I was just like,
different level of thought processing for
The
sure.
amount of respect I have for Japan is insane.
I love that respect, and I love that he, was like, oh wait, hold on, I need to get dressed. I need to be in my full gear to take this picture with you. Like, I love that. So, let's go, Ohtani. I'm rooting for him. I don't root for the Yankees really, but I like Aaron Judge. I would like to see Aaron Judge get a ring. Guys who are named Aaron, they're good guys. So, want to see him do well.
I mean, Bryce Harper got one. Aaron Judge should definitely get one.
Bryce Harper did get one. And they could be the only reason why the Dodgers don't get a second one. They're playing pretty good baseball.
They're playing pretty good baseball right now. Houston looks like they're playing pretty well again as well. So it's going to be a fun postseason. And it starts next Tuesday. So next Tuesday, we will talk about it and kind of give you what we think is a rundown of what could happen. And we'll go from there.
Yeah. So by Tuesday, the playoffs are set. So we will be good to go. All right. College football.
Detroit Lions, let's go.
Tigers, but we knew what you meant. College football. From last week, there's only one thing I want to talk about. And then there's a great game this week that we have to talk about. CU. And not
what?
Well, I could talk about Miami just crushing, like balling out. I could talk about Nebraska losing in overtime. We could do that. I don't want to.
That was rough.
So I just thought, like, the game of the week happened to be the CU Baylor game. Neither team was ranked.
That was not the game of the week, but okay.
What was the game of the week? Because what was it?
I mean, just because it went to overtime, it was two unranked teams. There's a lot of unranked teams that had like close games or overtime games throughout that.
The Spartans had a really close game. They lost,
but that was back and
Boston
forth
College,
in the fourth quarter.
Florida State.
I mean, shit. Nebraska, Illinois had an overtime game that was back and forth. Like, you're just saying that because it's Colorado and you're in Colorado, and so you kind of root for the home team. Like, that's the only reason you're calling it. Like, don't get on that bandwagon. Let's not go down that bandwagon. Colorado's sitting out here mad they're not ranked after that win. Like, it was something impressive that they should have been ranked for. Like, come on now.
No, they haven't earned that for sure.
Pump the brakes, Colorado. Travis Hunter's an animal, though. Travis Hunter is a legit beast.
Baller.
He had 10 catches, 170 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and then forced the game-sealing fumble at the goal line. At the goal line in overtime, forced the fumble, hat on ball fumble, like legit badass tackle, forced fumble. That dude's crazy good. Crazy good. And I don't care what anybody says. And we're never going to know whether this is true or not. He's just going to have to prove that he's legit in the NFL, and he's either going to pass or fail really quickly. But I fully believe if you put Shedeur Sanders on one of those top 10 teams in the country, and everybody's talking about him as a Heisman candidate as well.
If he had an O-line worth
I-
a damn, he and I keep trying. I've had a lot of people at work and some other people that I know kind of ask me about it, and I'm like, guys, just watch the throws he makes on a consistent basis under extreme pressure, because CU's O-line is garbage. If he had an O-line in front of him, if he had Georgia's O-line, Texas's O-line, that dude would be slinging.
He's got an arm. He's accurate. He's a good decision maker. He's more athletic than people give him credit for. He does hold the ball a little too long, but, you know, a lot of the great ones do.
He definitely holds it a little bit longer than I would like. We talked about it last year. I feel like there's lots of opportunity for him to run, make his 10 to 15 yards, and play it, go to play another down, and he'll hold it too long and get sacked. You just don't have that kind of time. In this Baylor game, I actually saw him run more, which I thought maybe that light's going on for him. Like, hey, my O-line can protect me sometimes. Sometimes I got to protect myself and just go get what I can get and go to the next play. But I do think at least the game was entertaining.
Yeah, it was. The Nebraska-Illinois game was really entertaining too. Nebraska left 3 touchdowns on the field and penalties. It's the same old story popping up again. So we'll see if it's a one-off or if it is more of the same for the rest of the season. They still have a chance to have a really good season. Illinois plays Penn State this weekend. That's a game I think says a lot about both teams. Let's see how legit Illinois is. Let's see how legit Penn State is. Penn State is like an 18-point favorite or something stupid right now. Like, it's a big spread, which I was kind of surprised about because I think Illinois' defense is fairly good and their offense run game is pretty good. So we'll see what they do against Penn State. I think Michigan beating the pants off USC and welcoming them to big boy football. They threw it 3 times, I think, the entire game and ran it over 45, if I remember correctly, and beat them by 2 touchdowns, smoked them.
They threw it 12 times.
Okay.
But they only completed 7 for 32,
okay.
32 yards.
There you go. Yeah, it was stupid. But they just ran it down their throat and dominated that game. So
and Edwards wasn't even like the main guy. It was Mullins.
Edwards isn't even really playing right now this season. It's kind of odd. I don't really know what to say about that just yet. So there's that. Texas. Look, I think Quinn Ewers is a good quarterback. I think he can be a solid pro if he goes to the right situation. I don't understand how he ever starts at Texas again. If I am Texas, the ceiling and potential of Arch Manning is undeniable at this point, and you give him the rest of the season because the more he grows, I believe by that end of the season, he will be as good as whatever Ewers was with a still bigger opportunity for making plays on his own.
Ewers is coming back and playing that Oklahoma game.
I know he is. I'm just telling you what I would do.
That.
I don't. Plus, Oklahoma's not even good. So there's really not. Like, let Arch. And if Arch flops on his face, then bring Ewers back in. Fine. I would play Arch the rest of the season. I don't think by the end of the season, if Arch plays right now, from this moment forward, I don't think Ewers, if he came back and played, gives you any better shot of winning a championship than if Arch played the rest of the season. So I would play Arch going forward. And that's this season, you would have a chance to win a championship. And then he's got even more potential for next season instead of making next season his first year starting.
This is a tough call. And this is almost it's not quite the same as a tough call like Bledsoe and Brady back in the day, because Brady wasn't tearing it up. So it wasn't like he was winning, but it was still kind of ball control, ugly wins. But you could see like Arch has got it, man. He just got it. And that just makes it tough because I know Quinn's got you there. He's the junior, senior. He's the guy. But that's a tough call, man. If you
This
don't
is
put
Lincoln
Ewers back
Riley.
in,
This is Lincoln Riley, OU, Spencer Rattler, and Caleb Williams.
yeah, but at least Spencer Rattler was playing bad before he got pulled.
No, he wasn't, actually. Go back. He wasn't.
No, not in that game, but in the previous games up to that, he had some poor outings. And then it was easier to pull the hook on that. Quinn hasn't had that.
I wouldn't say they were poor outings. I would say they weren't spectacular, and that's what they were expecting. And so because you got average-ish football.
But you didn't have that from Ewers. So
no, I'm just saying, though, like, if you have a sports car sitting in the garage that you keep saying you're going to drive, but you never take the cover off of, what's the point of owning the sports car? Like, your daily driver's good. It's reliable. But at some point, you need to let the sports car out and breathe and see what it can actually do. And there are certain sports cars out there that are meant to be driven, and they only get better as you drive them. And Arch is one of those. Let him eat. Let him eat.
I love Arch. I've been rooting for him. I like the fact that he didn't transfer before this year. When he had the opportunity to, anybody would have. I mean, all the big dogs would have taken him. So I like it a lot. So this is a big week. You know what this week is, right? The game of the week. The game I will absolutely sit down and watch this game. It's at 5:30 on ABC Saturday evening. Robert, do you know what we're talking about?
Well, if it's ABC, it's got to be SEC. So I'm guessing Bama, Georgia. LSU, Bama.
Bama, Georgia. Bama, Georgia. That's the game of the week. Number 2 and number 4.
I don't even want to think about college football this weekend because I'm about to get bent over. Oh
yeah, Ohio State's gonna run through Michigan State.
That won't be pretty. That's gonna be a good game, Pinky. I am interested to see what Jalen Milroe can do. Can he continue to improve, because he's got a lot of Jalen Hurts-ish in him. Very similar trajectory, very similar path almost, progression-wise, not necessarily starting, benching, that kind of thing, but just their progression from more of running to progressing as a thrower. Athletic.
He's gotten better. He's gotten better.
Absolutely. So I am interested to see what Jalen Milroe can do. I still don't think Carson Beck's that talented. I think him and Ewers are Andy Dalton-ish types, where they've got to be in a good system. They've got to have a lot of talent around them. You've got to protect them. And you can win games with them, but they're not going to win you games. That's kind of what I see both of those two guys as. So, and if you want to say Sam Darnold is kind of the new age Andy Dalton, based on kind of how he's playing right now and his possibility of getting a new contract in the offseason if he continues, I've never said Sam Darnold is great. I've always thought he was a good quarterback that just didn't get an opportunity. And maybe that's what those guys will be, similar to what Sam Darnold is. They're not going to be spectacular, but they're really good. The new age Kirk Cousins. Andy Dalton, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, and those guys. Like the progression of that, right?
This may have to come later, but did you all see the reason why Kirk Cousins isn't wearing 8 in Atlanta?
No.
Okay. We can save that for later.
What's he wearing?
He's wearing 18.
I didn't even notice that, huh?
Yeah, no, he's wearing 18. And I forget who the receiver is on the Falcons who's number 8.
It's Kyle Pitts.
Yeah.
Has 8.
So he and Kyle at the beginning of the season when he first came over, he was like, I'm down to trade 8. I don't want to, I'm down to do whatever. But the jerseys, the amount of people that had the Pitts number 8 jersey,
NFL said no.
And they were like, okay, but you have to buy out all the jerseys.
Yeah, that's common. Anytime somebody wants to,
and he's like, no, I'm good wearing 18. It was quite funny, but
yeah, they do that a lot. Guys want to change their numbers, and they got to wait till the next season in the off season so that they don't have to pay for the inventory. So, yeah, back to college. I am excited about that game. Both teams are playing well. Both teams look like they're supposed to. I think both teams will be in the 12 at the end. So this will be a good litmus test to see for both of them kind of where they're at
think
the quarter mark of the season.
We don't agree on a lot, Caleb. But I think we can both agree it would take like a miracle for both of these teams to not make it into the 12.
Yeah, I'd be hard pressed to not see both of them in there for sure.
Like an epic collapse of like epic proportions for that.
No, I don't necessarily say an epic collapse because Bama could play great football, but they have a bit of a murderer's row schedule this year.
If they go,
if I remember correctly, they played Georgia, LSU, and Texas. If I remember correctly, if they lose all,
I'll double check.
4.
If they lose all 3 of those games, I could see them missing out.
I think they'd still get in.
If they lose all 3, there's going to be a lot. I did tell you I could see Nebraska being a dark horse at 2 losses. 3, though, with the amount of teams that are only going to have 2 losses and how top heavy it is, I mean, 3 would be tough to get in. 3 would be tough.
So Alabama plays Georgia this weekend, then Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Tennessee, then Missouri, then LSU.
So they still have to play Tennessee. That's what it was. Tennessee and LSU. And Tennessee is ranked number 3 or 5 or something like that. 5. And they're playing damn good ball. Their quarterback right now, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Playing Heisman level quarterback. Same with Cam Ward down in Miami as well. Miami's playing great ball right now with Cam Ward as well. So there is going to be some interesting things happening here soon. And we will find out where that lies by the end of the season for sure. But I think 3 losses could easily keep you out of the college football playoffs this year. And Bama's going to have to win at least one of those 3 to keep their hopes alive. I mean, think about who's in the SEC just there. Tennessee, Georgia, Texas. Ole Miss is like number 3 in the country right now. Alabama, I mean, and then you've got the Big Ten, who Oregon right now and Ohio State are definitely getting in. So
Michigan's got the outside looking in.
Probably
they'll have a shot.
But I mean, if they only have 2 losses and those 2 losses are OSU and that blunder earlier to Texas, that probably still gets you in because Texas is probably going to run the table. You know what I mean? That's kind of what they're expected to do. So 3 would be tough to get in, Pinky, I think. I think 3 would be tough. But that game's going to be real good. 5:30 ABC Saturday. I will be watching that as well.
I'm going to a 40th birthday party, but I'm gonna see if I can get it on a TV somewhere. It's at someone's house. We should be able to get it on TV. So.
I'd say watch it on your phone, but you don't have those options like I do, unfortunately.
I do not, unless you got some logins you want to give me. Just saying. So
it's on what channel, Pinky?
ABC.
I might. We'll talk.
All right. Trying to stay on track tonight. Got a deadline. NFL week 3. It's already week 4, guys. Where's this going? Like
and how Pinky, how about that L this week you took in fantasy, bro?
Bro, I took a lot of L's in fantasy, bro. Like which one do you want to
talk
talk about?
I'm talking about the important one.
Which one's the important one?
The Vampire League, as Caleb just continues drinking slowly.
Man, bro.
Just not even going to acknowledge that with a voice.
My team's injured and hurt, and like he can take Tyreek Hill. As long as 2 is out, Tyreek Hill's worthless. So, like, I don't know.
Did he take Tyreek Hill?
He hasn't mentioned it yet. I got to get on him and be like, hey, you need to pick somebody.
Tyreek Hill.
I don't know who he wants to take. My team's garbage right now. All my 2 of my good guys are on the bench.
He's going to take Kamara.
He could do that. They could do that.
Yeah, he's going to take Kamara.
So, we'll see. We'll see. So in the league that I got that Crystal Trophy in, that's the one that matters most to me. I'm 6-0. And the poor guy that I played this week, put up over 200. I put up 242. And I have CJ Stroud and Baker Mayfield, who both had crappy games.
Dude, they had terrible games this week.
But I happen to have Zach Charbonnet. I had Kyron Williams. I had Juwan Jennings. And I had Justin Jefferson, who put in a basic game. His game was very basic. But Juwan Jennings is what got me the win. 55 from him. So, good week. All right, let's talk the games now instead of my shitty fantasy. Thanks a lot, Robert. I was just getting into that part of like, I grieved, and then I was angry. I was going through all the steps, and then you brought it back.
I mean, it's not getting any better for you anytime
soon.
soon.
You can't grieve until after we get through the podcast, Binky. You should know this.
Yeah, I mean,
trash talk is happening. You brought me into this, and I'm gonna throw it back in your face.
Some of my teams, it's not gonna get any better. So, like, it is what it is at this point. Robert, what
alive and well.
Besides my shitty fantasy, what do you want to talk about, Robert? Where do you want to
go? That's a great question.
I'll just throw this out there real quick, and you guys can run with it as you wish. My curse is alive and well. I thought I was on the verge of breaking it with Darnold playing well and Dobbins coming back. No. Silly boy. Talked up Baker last week, and Derek Carr ate some crow, threw some apologies, and said, I don't see things changing. Ride him as hot as you can. I wrote him. No. No, sir. Curse. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Right back. So don't listen to me.
Yeah, disagree.
Sorry.
So honestly,
I can spot and evaluate talent really well, guys, and we'll talk about it here soon. But if I tell you to bet something or play someone in fantasy, don't.
Do the opposite. Do the opposite.
And our other buddy Zach, they haven't learned it either. They still get burned by my own because they will go and draft the guys I like. One, just to mess with me, but two, because they also think after listening to me talk that some things could happen. And then things go well for a little bit, and then we all get burned. Every time, Pinky. Every time.
So there's two games I have. And I really don't want to talk about it because it's really disappointing. Dude, what happened to the Eagles, man? They crapped out and then all of a sudden came back and scored 15 points in the fourth quarter. What the hell? And they're playing the Saints.
Bravo, Vic Fangio. Vic
absolutely.
Fangio did something I never thought he would do, and he actually was willing to go with a different game plan, which is basically the opposite of what he likes to do for almost an entire game. He brought consistent pressure, which I was amazed with. And I'll tell you what, that Eagles defense looked dangerous doing that. Looked dangerous doing that. So that was interesting. I think I'm starting to question Nick Sirianni. There's too much talent on that offense, and he keeps talking about this. I want a simple game plan that is confusing for defenses. I want to start simplifying things. It's going to be easy for us and hard for them. He talked about it a little bit last year. You heard him say it. He's been really talking about it these last 2 weeks.
Let's be honest.
I don't know, man.
Let's be honest. They really missed A.J. Brown. And then Devontae Smith getting hurt.
Agreed. And that's why I'm saying I'm not off the Nick Sirianni bandwagon. I am just questioning things a little bit. Look, 2 weeks ago, Saquon catches that ball and nobody thinks twice about it.
They're undefeated and we're rolling.
Didn't hate the play call. I would have liked to see a couple runs there, but that's because Pinky and I are all about the big dudes up front. We like the trenches and we like to dominate that offensive line. But I didn't hate the play call. You give it to your best player, 99 times out of 100, Saquon catches that ball, and it's probably a touchdown, not just a first down. Right?
It's
he
easily
turns that up and it's gone, right? So I don't hate that. This week, though, and it's going to happen in the NFL. So that's why I'm not trying to blast anybody right now. You can have a bad week. And the Saints were playing really good football. They had scored on 15 of 15 offensive possessions or something like that. Their defense was playing really good and holding people to low numbers.
You could say if Saquon doesn't rip off a 60-yarder, the Saints win that game.
Absolutely. So by no means do I think this is a game where you really necessarily walk away judging either team.
Yeah.
But it was a sloppy game from both teams.
So a lot of people jumped off the Saints bandwagon on that. And Robert, do you watch Dynamite?
I was just about to look into that. I can't say that I've heard about it. But Yair, please educate me. What is Dynamite?
Yeah, educate this man. Yeah, at the end of the day, I didn't jump off the Saints bandwagon because of this loss. I think Philly's a good team.
No,
and occasionally against a good team, you're going to lose.
Right, and it reiterated Derek Carr. If you send a lot of pressure at him, he does not play that well. But if you give him some time, he will pick people apart.
What have I always said about Carr?
Absolutely, you've said it for a long time. And I've always pushed back a little bit. Like any quarterback that gets pressured is going to have issues. But Carr is his discrepancy is much larger than most. Like we saw what happens the first 3 weeks or the first 2 weeks when nobody pressures him. He destroys people. When you do put some pressure in his face, he drops off a lot. There's a big drop off there. So I think it gives a game plan for teams going forward from a defensive perspective on how to attack the Saints. But it also gives the Saints a really big eye-opening, like, okay, like if a team's going to continuously do that to us, we need to have some outlets here. And the Saints do have weapons, guys. Like Shaheed not catching a single ball that game is a fluke. That's not going to happen again. They still have Kamara. They still have Olave, who going into the season we had talked about as a top 5 talent wide receiver-wise in the league. He may not put up the numbers to justify that, but talent-wise, he's that good. So the Saints can do things, and I think the offensive game planning will kind of adjust to that as well. So it'll be interesting to see how the Saints adjust going forward, and can they rebuild that first couple weeks start.
I think there's so much to take away from this week. I want to go to the Underdogs real quick because that's the name of the show this week, and I think we got to hit them one by one. Panthers, Red Rifle.
Dude, I knew as soon as Andy Dalton started, they were going to beat the Raiders. I knew it.
I still, with Red Rifle, I still would have said there's no way that they beat the Raiders. Like I would have put, if I had big money to throw away, I would have absolutely put it on the Raiders. Like I was in a survivor pool that I was like, oh yeah, the Raiders playing the Panthers.
I did too.
I thought they'd be better. Thankfully, you get 2 strikes in this survivor pool, so I got one now. But I was like, I feel like the Panthers would get better with Andy Dalton. What I saw was like the Raiders had a meltdown against
they completely ruined Bryce Young and have not developed him at all. And that organization is just a giant hot garbage fire dumpster.
But then again, what are the Raiders?
Well, the Raiders have always been a mess, though. And that's not necessarily Antonio Pierce's fault. It's, again, the front office and the personnel decisions they've made continuously are just not good.
His press conference was pretty good. Pretty good.
It was.
Some guys were making business decisions, and we'll have to make some business decisions too.
Well, what was the question, though, that was asked from the reporter was like, so it looked like some guys were making some business decisions out there on the field today or something along those lines. And that's Antonio Pierce was like, some guys are making some business decisions out there. All right, well, we'll have to make some business decisions too. And I was like, oh, okay. And all right.
Gardner's about to get yanked. It's going to happen. And Devontae Adams.
Yeah, but it's just because, like, I think the only reason it happens is because they're like, well, Aiden O'Connell isn't going to be any worse. But they know they don't have anything that's going to get any better.
What is the main problem with the Raiders right now? There's one missing component, and it's so glaring, it's not even funny.
O-line?
The O-line's not great, but it's what's behind the quarterback.
I mean, not having a running game is bad. I thought Zamir White would look a little bit more capable for sure. Madison, you always thought was going to be capable, but he's not. So they're
not Josh
Jacobs.
Good. They're not Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs has got pretty good vision. He's tough. He catches he's an all-around running back that I think is underrated. That is a main reason why they're not when your quarterback's not as good, it helps having a really good running back and really good running game.
It does. It absolutely does. And they don't have that. You're absolutely right. I will say Brock Bowers has been a bit of a breath of fresh air.
Brock Bowers
is a rookie tight end
awesome.
Looking really good.
Besides, they're not getting him touchdowns, but other than that, he's...
Yeah, and that's wild too, because that's why I'm unsure if Gardner gets yanked. Because they're kind of putting up yards. Bowers getting yards, Adams getting yards, Jacoby Myers is getting yards. But you're right. When you don't have a run game, that defense can kind of tee up on you, and it just makes everything else look bad. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Speaking of run game, I knew I was going to be wrong. I hoped I was wrong, but I just felt like I couldn't trust Baltimore to run the ball because they just, for whatever reason, didn't realize they were really good at it anymore.
They are not part of this segment. They are not part of the underdog segment.
Fine.
They were the favorite.
Keep going.
Get there. We have to talk that game. We have to. Because there's some really good quotes from Jerry Jones that came out of that. All right. Robert. Rams beating the 49ers. Coming back to win.
Dude, so first off, did you see that stadium? Did you get to watch that game at all?
I got to watch it, but I was in Trainwreck downtown, and it was on one of the smaller screens. So I don't know what you're alluding to.
So what happens at every LA game?
The 49ers showed up at SoFi in fan fashion. It was red out.
So visiting teams take over SoFi.
Yeah, that's any away team at SoFi.
It was pretty wild. And I mean, props to the Rams, man, because they are hurting. They are limping right now.
This is another one. If I had a lot of money to be
if you're looking to throw around stupid money to see something happen, great for you because I would have never have picked the Rams
even without
to beat
Debo.
The 49ers. No way. And Kittle wasn't playing, was he?
And Kittle was out too.
No Kittle, no Debo, no CMC, and they're missing somebody on defense too.
They're limping along. They are definitely not.
I still would have picked them to beat the Rams.
I would have absolutely picked them to beat the Rams too, given what they have.
Cheers to Stafford.
McVay.
But Stafford too.
Yeah.
Well,
McVay's a fantastic coach, but what was there was something I just saw. Didn't Stafford just hit one of the top 5 marks?
I don't know. You might have to Google that real quick.
Give me a second.
Another epic collapse by the 49ers because they had this game.
They're going to struggle this year, I think, a lot. I think they're going to struggle a lot this year. As we start progressing into this, we'll see what happens. Struggle, they're still going to make the playoffs. But struggle, I mean, it's not going to be as dominant as we thought they were going to be.
Their defense is still so underperforming. Their defense should be really, really exceptional. They're not. They're just not.
It's true.
And I don't know I don't know if it's the coordinator, the scheme. Their O-line is full of first rounders. They've got Fred Warner and I don't know if Greenlaw's back just yet. Their corners are, they're okay. Man, that defense is way underperforming. But congrats to the Rams. They were, and I think this is maybe a theme with a lot of the underdogs that won this weekend. They were desperate. They came out desperate. They needed the win. Kyron Williams had a game, 3 touchdowns. I
was going to say they also ran the ball well.
Which with 2 of their best O linemen out against the San Francisco 49ers, who most of their front D line was still good. How were they able to run the ball? That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Good question.
So the stat that I had read was Matt Stafford is now tied for the 5th all-time in NFL history with Drew Brees in fourth quarter comebacks at 36. Stafford, one of the clutches quarterbacks of all time. That was from ML Football on Twitter. So shout out to them.
You know how you do that? You get behind a lot.
Yeah, that was
Like
I mean,
I hear
sure,
that and I think
sure.
about who you
Don't-
just mentioned. I'm like, their teams were not good a lot.
Mm-mm.
But Stafford is, I think me and you might be on the same page with this one. Stafford is underrated. At least I think he's underrated overall. I think he's actually been a really good quarterback who's played under some tough circumstances, and
I feel like he's rated. Like I don't think him as I don't think anybody thinks him as one of the all-time greats, but I think everybody thinks him as a really good quarterback. I feel like he's kind of talked about right where he should be.
okay.
I think if he was really great, he would have been able to elevate a couple of those Lions teams. Because they did have a couple years while he was there where they had a chance and just couldn't do anything special. And I think the really great ones find ways to make those special things happen at least once. He did win the Super Bowl with the Rams, where they weren't necessarily a favorite per se, and it was a really good run. And I can't say they win that with Jared Goff there. I think he was the difference maker, especially in the Super Bowl and that drive he went on late in the game. So I've always thought he was really good. I just think, I think he's just he's rated.
Okay, fair enough.
He's there.
This one, the next game, this one was really funny because, I like to spend a little bit of time on Twitter before the game start. And I am kind of teed into Browns Twitter because my son's a Browns fan. So I like to see what's going on, and I like to be in the know. And there were so many comments of like, we get to play the Giants today. Like, we get to play the Giants. We're going to whoop that ass. Negative. Guess what? You still got Deshaun Watson as your quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, based on the way both teams were playing to start the season, I don't really see that as an upset per se. Would have I expected the Giants to win if I had to pick it? No, but compared to these other underdogs we've been talking about, this is not the same level.
But the Browns were 6.
I get it, but that was solely on that defense, right? Like, that's solely on the name of that defense.
Absolutely. And as bad as the Giants had played previous to that.
Right, and I underestimated not how good he is, but the fact that he would be able to get the ball somehow as much as he has, and that's Malik Neighbors.
He's that dog, baby. He's that dog.
I don't understand.
So good.
I said this going into the draft. I think he very well could be as good as, if not better, and pick your poison than Marvin Harrison. I did feel that. Like, they were right there with each other. I did not think in any way he would be putting up these numbers in that Giants offense with Daniel Jones. And I've said, I think Daniel Jones has shown some glimpses. But I still didn't think there was anything on that Giants offense that would allow for Malik Neighbors to not just be double teamed all the time.
At the end of the day,
how is he catching like 10 balls and 100 yards a game? Like, how is this happening?
The Browns had so many chances to win this game, and it was like my son was so sad because it wasn't on locally. The Broncos were on. So he's got it on his phone, and he's watching, and it's like 10-yard pass to Amari Cooper. And the next play would be like Deshaun Watson sack. It was just sack after sack after sack. And I was just like, they're not. I mean, Giants defense is okay, but they shouldn't be doing that. And that's where I wish we could have watched the game, because I'd like to see, were those sacks on the O-line or were they on Deshaun Watson holding that ball?
Deshaun Watson, he was, and this is when I was like, I don't know how Jameis Winston isn't playing right now. He started doing his that, we'll call it dancing in the pocket, that he used to do down in Houston, where he was never going to scramble, but he had that innate ability to kind of hop back and forth and sidestep and dance and move, and then all of a sudden he'd roll out and throw a deep bomb out of nowhere. He was doing that, but it looked like his steps, like the song was for a tango, and he was doing a country line dance. Like, he did not look like he was in sync with the game at all. So he tried to start doing his dance and he'd bounce into a lineman and then get knocked over into another one and then get wrecked. Like, he just doesn't look like he has a feel for the game anymore at all.
Right.
And I say that, what's crazy is I say that completely comparing him to what he used to be. Because the way he's playing is still backup level capable quarterback in the NFL. It's just not, we paid you $250 million, traded a bunch of first rounds, and you were one of the top 5 quarterbacks.
I feel like if he could still get back to like 80% of what he was, he'd still be pretty good. He's nowhere near there.
80% of what he used to be would still be borderline top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I truly do believe that. That's how elite I thought he was at one time. But he's never getting, he'll be lucky to get to 70% of what he used to be. That's what I think now. And I think he's hovering around 50% right now.
All right. There's a lot more important games we got to talk about, but the last underdog that definitely bears talking about is our Broncos went into Tampa. This blew me away.
I
didn't see this coming.
Every number about this early East Coast swing game, 11 o'clock kick,
super hot.
Tampa playing really well, 2 great wide receivers. Denver has no pass rush. The only thing on paper that Denver had going for it was that Tampa was coming with no defensive line.
Denver's pressure rate has been pretty high this season.
Because they blitz like 75% of the time, which is awesome, and I love it. But as far as an actual pass rush, they don't have one. A pass rush is without a blitz. Blitzing and pressure is different. A pass rush, Denver just doesn't have. So they blitz, which is awesome. And I love that. Vance Joseph knows they don't have it. He's bringing the pressure, and it's working. And he's making it work with his play calling. Vance Joseph is underrated. And I think he got a giant shaft up the behind with his head coaching duties here in Denver.
Look,
but he's a great defensive coordinator.
I'm not the biggest Vance Joseph fan when it comes to adjustments. When he comes into the game with a good game plan and the game plan works, he looks great. But when his game plan's not working, it typically doesn't change. And that's what my issue with Vance Joseph has been. I don't think he's an awful DC, but I just want guys to be more adaptable to what's happening. If their original game plan is not working.
Like he's been adaptable at other stops where he's been the DC. I feel like he's not adaptable in Denver because there's nothing to be adaptable with. He's playing with a very thin hand. There's not a lot of pieces or talent that he's able to work with. So it's basically like, here's our best chance, and we're just going to keep doing it. Well, it worked against Tampa. Tampa, for whatever reason, decided they weren't going to worry about the blitz, and we can overcome, and they were never able to overcome. Tampa looked flat. They looked bad. They looked like what we expected them to look like when the season started, after we just gave them a heap of praise. And I don't really know what to expect from them going forward. I am amazed that Surtain completely took Mike Evans out of the game after getting burned by George Pickens. Like, play call differently. Do something on the offense that changes your game plan a little bit. I mean, Denver gets a win, cool. As a Broncos fan, do I like seeing wins? Yeah, but I'm also kind of bummed because it doesn't do us any good in the long term to win those games when we need draft picks, because we're not in a position to do anything in the playoffs, even if we got there by some miracle.
Hold on. That's one. Again, they need a few of these. They're not, again, I still think they're going to win more than 6. How many more than 6? I don't know. But they've got to get it. They're going to win a couple of these. And again, I listened to a couple of the Tampa Bay players. A couple of them said they came in, they punched us in the mouth, and we did not respond. Like, they were waiting for someone to make a play, and nobody did.
Yeah, it was bad. Unexpected. I think it's wild for you to think Denver's going to get 6 wins somehow still. I don't see that.
Obviously, they could beat the Raiders. If the Panthers could beat the Raiders, I think we could beat the Raiders.
I mean, yes, you're
We
not
might
wrong
get-
there.
We might
I
get
feel
lucky,
like-
and
I feel
if
like-
Herbert is hurt, not playing, we could get that Chargers game coming in a couple weeks.
You better hope all those guys are injured just like Tampa was then. I think Broncos fans are drinking a little too much Kool-Aid today and forgetting that Tampa literally had no defensive line. Like
I didn't watch that game and go, oh my God, we're going to the playoffs. I watched that game knowing what was happening and knowing that, hey, the defense is pretty good. We're probably going to win. We're going to win a few games that people don't think we should win. There's not a lot of games we're going to be favored in to begin with. I still think 6 wins is right about the spot.
I mean, if I'm a defensive coordinator and I see that game, I go, I'm just going to throw a bunch of pressure at Bo Nix because they have nothing weapon-wise that's going to bail him out from that. So regardless of whether or not Bo Nix can read it or he's smart enough to try to throw away from it, the Broncos don't have any weapons to avoid it. So, like, I feel like it was a very obvious, like, oh, okay, well, they only were able to look halfway decent because Tampa literally couldn't get anybody in the backfield. And if teams are able to put anybody in the backfield, the Broncos are still going to look bad. That's what I walked away from that game with. Like, we look like a team that's a couple years away from being competitive at all.
We still definitely need playmakers. It's obvious.
And also, Broncos, go give Tampa a 5th for Trey Palmer. Dude's not even playing right now. Like, it's worth the risk because you got nobody to help you on the offense in Bo Nix right now. I just don't. Third string running back, for goodness sake, because he was the hot hand. Like, oh.
You know Tampa is not giving up Trey Palmer right now.
No, I know.
There's no way it'll happen.
With Chris Godwin typically misses a couple games here and there, so it's just not happening. So, all right. Let's run through these real quick. All right, let's talk Lions Cardinals. Robert?
Disappointing performances on the Lions offense, but overall they came out and put it together. So, I mean, overall a good game. Cardinals are showing some strength, which is exciting. Kyler Murray's kind of getting back to how he was playing a few seasons ago. So that's I'm loving that because I'm a big fan of Murray.
People that didn't watch the Cardinals last year didn't notice that a lot of their games were competitive last season.
No, I will absolutely agree with that. Because Kyler had a concussion. Was it 2 seasons ago? 3 seasons ago?
No, he's not concussions. He had an ACL.
That's right. So now seeing them become more competitive, like you said, they were challenging last year, but seeing it now, it's more apparent against the Lions.
I think
was really awesome to see.
I think the Cardinals are an underrated team that if you can go to their house and get a win, that's a good win.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it might be ugly. It might be ugly.
You're
but
going to be in the trenches.
You
fighting
take that
in Arizona.
win.
There's no lying about that.
Cardinals have some talent. Kyler, they've got Marvin Harrison now. They've got James Conner. McBride concussion protocol.
Yeah.
He could be out a week or two.
I guess.
And then Laporta on the other end. Laporta for the Lions, high ankle sprain, it sounds like, or ankle sprain. They're not.
Well, for the Lions, the good news is Cardinals couldn't run the ball on them. And that was a big issue. When the Cardinals can run the ball on you and then they can throw Kyler and they can do all this other stuff, it makes them really hard to defend. So they could not run the ball.
Good win for the Lions.
Definitely a good win for the Lions. So, let's see. What else is worth talking about?
Definitely the Monday night game, Commanders.
Hold on. Before we get to the Monday night game, we got to give Caleb a little bit of love here. Vikings whooped the Texans.
Dude, they
whooped.
put a slam on them.
And a lot of that has to do with really good defense who shut down one of the better offenses in the league. I think the Texans are one of the better offenses that could literally score on everybody, and they had no answer for Brian Flores' pressure defense. They had nothing. And then Sam Darnold just made plays. Like when you look at the yardage, it wasn't great, but 4 touchdowns is 4 touchdowns, man. He put it in there.
So a couple things. I like that you talked about the defense. And I was going to talk about this with the Texans, and you talked about it with the team when we first started here. What is a glaring issue for the Texans? A glaring issue on that offense.
Their O-line.
No, they have no run game.
Well, Joe Mixon was out. He didn't play.
Right, but still, Joe Mixon hasn't looked.
And Pierce was out too. So, like,
right?
the top 2 guys were out.
But Akers, by all accounts, is healthy and is a good running back.
He's okay.
I don't think it would look any different if Joe Mixon was in, Pinky.
It may not have. It may not have. All I know is when I was paying attention, the game was still within reach. The Texans were in the red zone, 3rd and 4. Something I've never seen before. I've watched a lot of football. I've never seen this happen. 3 straight false start penalties. 3 straight.
Laramie Tunsil's having some issues to start the season.
3rd and 4 went to 3rd and 19 in the red zone.
Yeah. Now, look, I think this says more about Minnesota than it does Houston. We said Houston would take a slight step back this year, not because they weren't a good team or improving, but because their schedule was going to be more difficult than it was the year before. I also told you I think Minnesota is going to be a sneaky good team this year, and people kind of laughed and scoffed at me for that. But they are. I think Minnesota is actually a really good team, and so is Houston. And you saw 2 really good teams playing each other, and Houston just caught the short end of the stick this time around. They play again next week, and Houston might win that game, and Minnesota might catch the short end of the stick. So I think what you just saw is 2 really good teams playing. Not that Houston lost a game to an inferior opponent.
I'm not jumping off the Houston bandwagon because of that game.
Yeah, you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
Absolutely not.
It
Now,
goes back
on
to
the Sam Darnold train, Pinky.
People want to talk about Sam Darnold. Oh, his numbers aren't spectacular. If you watch the games, this dude is doing nothing but making the right play at the right time and putting that offense position to do nothing but score points.
Dude is focused.
He's playing well right now, and if you took an MVP vote right now, he's definitely in the top 5.
Dude, he's playing great football.
So I'm not jumping on the bandwagon yet. I'm still on the show me. You got keep showing me. I'm not going to do it.
That's fine because, like I said, I believe, and I told you this for a long time. I believe he will when given the opportunity. So I don't think this is a hot streak. I think this is something that will just continue as the season goes on.
I'm really worried for Sam Darnold.
Because he's going to sign a contract with a really crappy team and a bad system next year. Yeah.
And he's going to go back to normal Sam Darnold.
Well, the Vikings play the Packers.
Well, see, Pinky, I think that's slightly unfair because I think what you're seeing is normal Sam Darnold. I think when you put anybody in the positions he's been in with the Jets, Carolina, so on and so forth, I think for the most part they're all going to look really bad.
So, Robert, we're not there yet. Let's not go there yet.
I'm preemptively planting the seed.
I know. You're getting there. All right. So we had.
Quit checking the time.
Congrats, Sam Darnold and the Vikings. Let's see. Look, I still think they're a fraud overall. And I think their schedule will play out, and they're still going to be not as good as they think they are. But kudos to the Steelers for beating another good team in the Chargers. Justin Fields, again, not doing anything spectacular, but he's not turning the ball over. He's playing Steeler brand football. Run the ball, make a couple plays, play good defense, don't turn the ball over. That has been the Steelers' formula for a long, long time. And he's playing it to a T. And as long as he keeps playing this way, no way Russell Wilson steps onto the field. It's not going to happen. Because he's not giving them a reason to bench him.
I don't disagree with that statement. Caleb, you know he's not wrong.
So
see the wheels turning, but he's not wrong. Russell Wilson is if he keeps playing the way he is, he's not coming back.
No, he's not a Russell guy. He's just trying to say how great Fields is, and it's just not really the case.
that's not what you're still undervaluing what he's doing, and that's fine. Continue to do so. I think he's only going to continue to improve. I said the Steelers were going to be good. I said if given the opportunity, he was going to win games and get better.
I feel like if Herbert is not knocked out of that game, they win that game. The Chargers win that game.
Maybe.
It would have happened.
Maybe, but they didn't. And Justin Fields didn't play bad ball. He's not playing great. I'm not going to disagree with you. He's not doing anything spectacular right now. But he's doing exactly what's being asked of him to go out and win games.
He's playing Steelers football.
If you watch the games, he is making some elite throws within those games. Pinky, don't roll your eyes. You even agreed with me last week. That ball he threw down to Pickens down the sideline that was called back was an elite throw. There are not many guys in the league, maybe a handful, maybe 5 guys in the league that could have made that throw. And we're talking Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes type level of a throw. I'm not saying he's on that level right now, but I'm saying he's showing you moments. He's showing you these spots where he has the potential to be at that elite level. Are you able to coach him to grow into that type of player? Chicago didn't, obviously. They didn't at all. They didn't try to progress his trajectory in any shape, way, or form. If Pittsburgh can do that, he shows you he has the ability to play at one of the top quarterback levels in the league because of his arm talent and his legs. He's also showing this year, he's got like a 73% completion percentage right now. So he's also showing you that he can be smart with the football. My question then will be, because there's going to be a point in this season where he's going to have to go out and win you some games, right? Like that's every NFL season. Your quarterback, if he's that good, is going to have to go out and win you some games. You can't just rely on your defense, ball control, and a running game. If you really want to be a really good team, your defense has to do that and put your quarterback in the position to go out and win you the games. When those moments come this season, are they going to punt on the game and just keep Justin Fields where he's at and say, that's what we are? Or are they going to give him the chance to open up and go win a game? And if they do, does he? That's what I'm waiting to see. If he can do that, then I believe I will be proven right in the end. If they don't, then I think we have to truly, and I should say, have to truly start talking about this is what he is. There is no, he can still grow into something really great. If he's given those opportunities and he's failed, or those opportunities present themselves and they don't allow him to try, I think that will say a lot about what he is as a quarterback, and I'll have to then start talking and admitting that. So that's what I'm looking to see as the season goes forward with the Steelers.
I mean, as long as he doesn't turn the ball over, they should be in a lot of games and win the games. Because, again, they run the football, they play good defense, and he just makes timely play. The only thing that's the problem is, I mean, they scored 20 points. That was the highest output of the season so far. And they're 3-0.
At some point in time, they're going to have to play a 2-minute offense, down 3 or down 4 or something.
The second half of their season is like murderer's row.
I know. And that's what will be interesting to see is, in those situations, will they allow him to go out there and try to win the game? And then let's see what he can do. That's I think will be the true litmus test for where he is and what he can be going forward.
All right, let's run through these quick. Bills dominated the Jaguars last night. That was not a fun game to watch, unless you're a Bills fan, which I'm a Josh Allen fan. And I did root for the Bills in the early 90s as well. So I
said the Bills are probably going to be one of, if not the best team in the AFC, addition by subtraction. Josh Allen's going to have an MVP season. I think we're seeing all that. I think we're also seeing that, I mean, if we're just being perfectly honest, I think I was right about Trevor Lawrence.
when I watched Trevor Lawrence in that game last night, I just came away going, that dude is Jay Cutler 2.0.
He's just not elite.
He's just not. He's got good arm. He doesn't make great decisions. He doesn't lift his team. He doesn't make his guys better.
You do know his career completion percentage is worse than Justin Fields, right?
I mean, it can't be great. I think he's thrown a lot more than Justin Fields. So again, that number can be skewed a little bit. But
that's true, and that's I'll give you that's a fair point to bring up in the conversation. But nonetheless, it's not close.
But when I watch him, I just don't see a guy who's supposed to be so awesome. He's not, and I would not. Giving Dak $60 million, I think, is a tough call. And if you don't give it to him, I understand. If you give it to him, I understand. T-Law, giving him 55?
It's crazy. We said that. Just like we said there was no reason for the Giants to pay Daniel Jones because nobody was going to pay him more.
Because I can give
yourself.
I can go get someone. I can draft someone or I can pick someone up with a decent team around him that'll give me the same results as T-Law.
Now, this could very well be a super talented quarterback that just needs somebody to bring it out of him still. There's been a lot of cases of that throughout NFL history, and I will always go back to Steve Young as the prime example. Now, I know that's a crazy comparison because I'm not trying to compare Steve Young to Trevor Lawrence right now, but if Steve Young had stayed in Tampa, we would not know who Steve Young is. The fact that he ended up in San Francisco and he got to sit behind Joe Montana and he got to come into the San Francisco West Coast offense with Walsh and the lineage and so on and so forth, throw to Jerry Rice and then throw to Terrell Owens. And there's a reason, right? So that is a common story within the NFL. There is a lot of guys we could go down the list of that have had that situation where their career could have been derailed and ruined before it ever started and ended up being Hall of Famers because they left their first organization. So I say all that to say this. I think he got screwed by Urban Meyer being his head coach, and I personally never liked the Doug Peterson hire. And if Doug Peterson is as good as everybody says he's supposed to be, and he's this brilliant offensive mind and a quarterback whisperer, this team should have been able to look better this year than it did at the end of last year. And it looks worse this year than it did at the end of last year.
You know how many games they've lost?
12 in a row.
Started?
12 in a row.
8.
It's 8? I thought it was 12.
It's 8. That T-Law started. It's 8.
Okay. So as much as I don't think Trevor Lawrence was the next coming, and I don't think he was the Andrew Luck or so on and so forth, Peyton Manning's in this.
And you did say that from the get-go.
And I never said I thought he wasn't talented. I just didn't think he was this next generational prospect. I don't think the organization's done him any favors whatsoever to see what his potential truly is at the same time. So I think they're a mess. I think there's a lot of talent on that team, and I think they're a mess.
You know what I see when I watch T-Love? That dude has no pocket presence. None. Because he's got the athletic ability. We've seen it.
I think he sees a lot of ghosts in the pocket, dude.
So and he
sees a lot of ghosts in the pocket. Right. Again, so, organization. You have a young quarterback, you don't get skill positions. You get an offensive line first, and then you go from there. And they don't seem to understand that outside of Jim Harbaugh.
Robert, did you watch the better game of the night, Commanders and Bengals? Did you watch that?
I actually did not catch all of it. I watched the back half of it. And honestly, I really enjoyed the last half.
Last half was good.
It was great football. It was awesome. I mean, again, in 84 years, 0 turnovers, 0 punts. That is badass football. Like, that is, locked in domination on both sides because you are competing at that point. You're not trying to... That's a great word,
competing.
Well, that also means there was barely any defense.
Not necessarily. You can have really good defense, but still not have. There were field goals still. There were still things that were happening. It was just and I've said this for a long time. If you have a great on great, so a great offense versus a great defense, I still believe the offense should win a majority of the time because they have the upper hand. They know what's happening versus the defense that has to react to what's happening. So if you execute your plays and you execute your game plan, I believe that's what the epitome of football would look like. So I think Roberts did a great work competing. I was a very competitive game all night. It was awesome to watch. Pinky, I want you to elaborate a little bit on something that you and I had talked about in the offseason. We both think Caleb Williams is a really good quarterback. We both think he was going to be really good long term, but the Bears could ruin him before that ever starts, possibly. But we both said we like Jaden Daniels more.
Yes.
And we were very interested to see what he could do in a Cliff Kingsbury offense as just the OC, not the head coach.
But you know what's crazy? And I don't know if everybody watched it last year in college football. Jaden Daniel is a better thrower of the football from the pocket. Caleb Williams is a Mahomes-esque, off-schedule, outside the pocket, just trying to make magic. He does have that as part of his game. But Daniels can actually sit in the pocket, see what a defense is doing, and hit the right receiver in stride anywhere on the field. The guy's got it. And this was definitely his coming out party last night. He made tons of good plays. I would still like to see him run a little less myself. He's a little bit smaller guy. I just hits add up. He is young, so could he come back? No problem, yes. But I just want to see him not take those hits. He doesn't need to. He's that good in the pocket that he doesn't need to really do that, in my opinion. And again, we both said it. Like it was no shock. Like if the did you see what Davante Adams said today?
What did he say?
Davante Adams said the Raiders wanted to draft Jaden Daniels if he fell to 13th.
Yeah, a lot of people would have drafted Jaden Daniels if he fell to 13th. What kind of foolish nonsense is this, Davante Adams?
If Jaden Daniels had somehow fallen out of the top 5, I feel like there was a lot of teams. Like Tennessee probably would have gone and gotten him. Denver would have gone and gotten him.
No, Denver wouldn't have, because Peyton would have been like, Bo Nix was our guy from the beginning.
No,
We're going to take Bo Nix.
Peyton said in his interview he had Williams, Daniels, Nix.
Yeah, I know.
Guys.
That's Peyton. But the other Peyton makes foolish decisions as a GM. So
no, Sean Payton would have drafted his guy if he was available, and he would have taken Daniels. He said it.
What's happening right now is not a surprise from a talent standpoint. What is a bit of a surprise, I think, is last night they opened up the playbook.
Absolutely.
I think that was obvious. And by doing so, what surprised me a little bit, actually, was how much it helped their offensive line. With Daniels having more of an arsenal at his disposal to go about and use, you saw that his IQ and talent on full display. And because you got to see that on full display, he wasn't playing at a rookie level. And that allowed that offensive line to protect a little bit better, to run block a little bit better. And so an offensive line that a lot of people had really big question marks, honestly, in the offseason going into the season to start, looked like an average to above average offensive line.
I think they gave up 2 sacks. Like they were
so
pretty good.
Between his ability to like Pinky alluded to, run around and move, and yes, you'd like to see him maybe avoid some of those hits. But I said this to Pinky, and while it's not quite on the same level, I do feel like he's got that innate ability like Lamar Jackson to avoid the big ones. And some guys just have that. Some guys don't. RG3.
Damn.
But I think you're going to see
Shots
that even
fired.
more as we go forward. And he's going to – Washington – I told you, Pinky, Washington's going to be competitive for that NFC East.
Jaden Daniels was having fun, was looking great, having a good time. It made me go, man, I would love to get a Jaden Daniels jersey. And I was like, but the Commanders' whole scheme for jerseys is just gross, so I'm out. But He really good. I like him. I like him a lot. So, all right.
One last thing I want to throw out there, Pinky, and this is just me boasting and bragging. So just tell me to shut up real quickly or mute me because I know you can.
Kick him.
But
kick him out.
I did say I saw some very bright flashes from a certain Malik Willis if given the right opportunity in coaching. And I think what you're seeing from him is a guy who could still develop into a starting level quarterback in the NFL if given an opportunity in the right sense. And the Packers have weapons, and LaFleur right now, I don't think there's a better play caller in the league. But if I'm Tennessee, I'm watching that and I'm saying we made a mistake because we could have kept him. We could have used that Will Levis draft pick other places, and we could have schemed an offense around something that has potential to grow and built a team around that. And I'm not saying he's going to get an offer like Darnold will in the offseason, but I think he is showing that he's more talented than what Tennessee tried to give him up for nothing.
I would say this has more to do with LaFleur and his scheming and play calling than it does his natural talent. I mean, I'll give him credit. Like, again, pretty good. 13 for 19. That's good. Last week, he only threw 15 balls. This week, he threw 19. They're not asking him to do a whole lot. He ran for 73 yards and a touch. Like,
it's very similar. And honestly, I think Fields is more talented and has a higher ceiling. But what Pittsburgh and Green Bay are doing with these two guys is almost identical. And the two guys are playing almost identical and playing smart football.
I don't see this being something that can be like it's not a long-term thing.
It would be hard to replicate the situation for him because any other team isn't going to be as talented and as good. And I understand that. But let me ask you this. In a bubble, if Love was not in the picture and Malik Willis was their quarterback going forward, I would still have hope as a Packers fan.
So here's my thing. They played the Colts and the Titans, who right now are both not great teams.
Titans dirtied up the game, and we gave them credit against the Jets.
I mean, they dirtied up this game a little bit. I mean, the numbers for the Packers are not.
Saying Malik Willis still played good football.
This had more to do with Will Levis turning the ball over multiple times than anything. So, again, he won the game. Wins are important. I just don't think these are good teams that we can take a whole lot of stock from. And he's not going to get the opportunity because Love, by all accounts, should be back this weekend, and then that's all that there is for Malik Willis. So
I just think guys don't get enough credit for it's that game manager thing. It's become this negative
nothing wrong. Yeah, nothing wrong with the game manager.
But I think if you're asked to do that and you do it well, I think you should be given more credit for it. Maybe.
The problem with the game manager, though, when you run into guys like Allen, Mahomes, the top guys, they're going to whoop your ass.
And I don't disagree with you, but that's where I see Willis and Fields being able to do things with their legs where you could go, oh, there's some things here that there is some possibility. Whereas I look at Will Levis and I go, you're screwed. Like
Will Levis is done, bro. Like he's got like a game before he gets the hook, I think.
Right. I'm not looking at that situation. I'm not Bryce Young. I haven't seen anything from him where I'm like, all right, there's still some hope. But I see Will Levis play like that. I see Justin Fields. I see them doing some things where you're like, right situation. Now, I said Bryce Young, and you know, Bryce Young, Matt LaFleur, he might look really good too. And you go, well, yeah, that because they're smart organizations and smart coaches. And Pinky have said this, I've said this, but I beat the drum on this. A coach's job is to put their players in positions to succeed based on that player's talent. And a lot of coaches don't do that, and you see that all over the NFL.
We could probably agree, at least for the Titans, if you run the ball 11 times, 8 times, because 3 of those was Will Levis, and we'll not count that, and they give up 8 sacks, your quarterback's probably not going to play well. Because you didn't run the ball, you forced him to have to throw, and then you gave up 8 sacks on top of that. Like that's just not
Let
that's
me
not
ask
helping
you
a young
this.
quarterback out.
Let me ask you this, another hypothetical, but hear me out here, and then we'll move on to this week's games. If Vrabel had shown an ability to do anything like this with Willis, i.e., get him to show growth and potential in any way, shape, or form. If Vrabel had done that with Willis, would he still have a job? Because it would mean they're using draft picks differently. They're using their free agency capital differently. The future looks different. Would Vrabel still be there if he had been able to do that with Willis?
No, because the GM and Vrabel were not on the same page, and the GM won out. So I still think Vrabel's a good coach. I think he overachieved with Tennessee.
But isn't part of that because he didn't want anything to do with Willis? Like he hated that draft pick as well. Like
I don't know all the circumstances of that, but I
oh my God,
Clayton, my man, Clayton, come on, buddy. I mean, we've played pretty good against Rodgers in the past, but I think what you're forgetting, Clayton, is the Jets have two good running backs. They're going to run the ball down our throat.
Let's move to next week. And let's just start with that game.
Yeah,
Clayton wants to hear it. Clayton's here tonight.
Rip that Band-Aid off.
We don't always get to talk about the Broncos when Clayton's around. Let's talk about them.
Look, I'll be honest, Clayton. I will take the Broncos in 7.5 points. But the Jets are going to win this game.
What?
I don't see the Jets as 7.5 point favorites. I just don't.
This is going to be a monster blowout.
I don't see that.
The Jets are going to run for over 200 yards. Rodgers is going to probably throw for like 250 and 3. Braylon Allen is going to have at least one rushing touchdown. Breece Hall is going to have at least one rushing touchdown. Garrett Wilson's going to have at least one catching touchdown. I bet Conklin gets into the action. This is going to be bad, guys.
I don't know if I see that. Their right
Especially
tackle's
after
out.
watching the Jets defense realize that they were super talented last week. Dude.
Come on now. They're playing the Patriots, though.
Dude. What?
Dude, the only thing... Hold on.
Patriots and the Broncos are basically the exact same team.
Hold on. No, they're different teams. Because the only thing the Patriots can hold their hat on is that they can run the football. And if they can't run the football, they have no answers. And that's exactly what the Jets did. They stopped them from running the football, and that was all she wrote.
The Broncos can't run the football or throw the football, Pinky. Again, last week was an aberration because the defensive line for Tampa was literally non-existent. The Jets have a great defensive line.
Jets are going to win the game. I called that. I just think the Broncos will keep it close.
But we did not get pressure using 4 last week. That was not a couple plays maybe, but that was not the case for a majority of the game.
No, they did not bring 5 very often, Caleb. They did bring 4 most of the time because they could not block John Franklin Myers or Zach Allen, which allowed Zach Benito one-on-one. It allowed Jonathan Cooper one-on-one. That's what was causing. But again,
they blitzed a lot. You even said it. They have the highest blitz rate, highest pressure rate in the league.
Pressure rate. It wasn't blitz rate, pressure rate. The biggest thing on that game was Zach Wirfs erased whoever he was against. Tristan Wirfs pretty much erased them. And everybody else was free reign to
I'm not doing this. Oh, we had a somehow good game against a team that nobody thought we would win, and all of a sudden we're going to be well against the Jets.
The Jets are going to win.
Smoke us.
The Jets will dominate us.
What makes you think this game's going to be within 7? Like, legitimately, what makes you think this game's going to be within a touchdown?
Vegas.
I just think they'll be within 7, man. I don't see it. The Jets played a good game against the Patriots, and the Patriots have like
Caleb
the worst
said that's
ever.
not enough.
It's fine.
Caleb said that's not enough.
It's fine. We'll see. We got to keep going.
Take the Jets and the points, ladies and gentlemen. Take it now.
Clayton, I'm a believer. I'm with you, my man. But I really don't think that we're gonna beat the Jets, homie.
We're gonna be back to Broncos fans feeling miserable after this weekend,
this
guys.
Is not happening.
You're gonna be questioning Sean Payton again.
There's 3 games to talk about. Everything else is turds. So we got Vikings Packers.
Yeah.
Hold
That's
up.
a big game.
Everything is turds until next week when we have to talk about it because they were good games, but Pinky didn't think they were going to be.
I mean,
It's Pinky's determination.
when
It's Pinky's
you
week.
look-
We're just going with it, Caleb.
when you look at these
We're just
games,
going with it.
there's an obvious favorite in most of the games.
Minnesota has not been part of a good game yet, and yet we've had to talk about them every week. I just want
What
to
do you
throw that
mean?
out there before we hear the turds.
They
Do you
just
not think that the Vikings and Packers is a good game?
the Texans and the Vikings.
I have
like,
said
what do you mean?
Vikings were worth watching all year. You, sir, have said that they would not be worth watching up until now. So I'm just saying, I'm being silly. My bad. Being silly that next week we will end up talking about a lot of
I ain't got time for your silliness. I got to get this shit done.
Clayton, I don't have the Packers winning this, my man. They're still pretty injury ridden, and I'm Sam Darnold and the Vikings.
Jordan
are
Love's back.
cooking. They're cooking.
I have a theory for this game. This is a Christian Watson breakout game. It just feels like he's due to blow up again.
Jordan Love is playing, my man.
Yeah.
This is the game you want to watch.
Yeah.
If this is
I'm gonna
on.
get an hour and a half.
Oh, this won't be on.
I hate my life.
Damn it, this won't be on local. Broncos are on at the same time.
Going to the View House. See you there.
It'll be a good game. And I have a sneaky feeling Christian Watson blows up.
Maybe I'm not playing in this game on Sunday. That depends on my ankle, but we'll see.
You are not playing in this game on Sunday, bro.
We'll
You better
see.
shut that down.
We'll
right.
see.
Um,
I'm still young and spry, Pinky.
I think
can
Sam
bounce
Darnold
back.
plays really well. I think you're right. It's just going to be a good game. I do think the Packers prevail, but I think, again, these are two really good teams.
Vikings.
I mean,
believe-
it's 2.5. Packers are 2.5 point favorites. That's not a lot. They're at home.
They'll both
That's
be
why
what?
they're-
If the Packers win, they'll both be 3-1 after this week, right?
Right.
Yep. That's what I think. I see that happening.
All right. Bills, Ravens.
Bills will dominate.
Bills. I still don't trust the Ravens for a full
Nope.
game, and
I
the
don't
Bills
either.
have proven
This
they know how
is-
to dominate a full game.
That's Sunday night. I'm excited. That's
Oh,
Sunday
that's
night.
going to be
I like
great.
it.
Oh,
I
it's
like
going to be great. Oh, that's going to be so – dude, oh, man, that's going to be a good game.
So, there's probably 4 games, but
Dude
The
keeps
third-
going up in numbers.
the third game is Saints-Falcons. I find that interesting. Saints-Falcons. That's a division game.
I do find that interesting.
Falcons could have won both, or they could have won that game against the Steelers. They could have won the game against the Chiefs. They could be 3-0 right now. Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
The
Right?
Falcons definitely look like they're starting to kind of
Gain
figure out
momentum.
what their potential can be. And if they can win this week, which I think they will beat the Saints, and that's only because I thought they were going to be really good to start the season. I still think the Saints are a good football team. But I think the Falcons are starting to figure out what their potential is. And I think Kirk Cousins and the offensive coordinator are starting to get on the same page, and the play calls that he likes and how he likes to move the ball down the field and stuff. Falcons are looking better and better every week, I think. So that's going to be fun to watch.
And then Seahawks-Lions. That could be the game of the weekend.
Lions.
3-0 Seahawks.
And from
2-1 Lions.
what I have seen on the Twitterverse, they're going to be rocking the black uniforms.
They
finally.
are wearing the black uniform. I'm rocking my Aiden Hutchinson that night. Like
Ugh, I
it's
need
going
a-
to be on.
I need one. I need it.
This is going to be interesting because I think the weaknesses for each team's defense is the other team's strengths, the way they'll exploit. So on offense, Seattle is a dangerous passing team, and Detroit's back half, their secondary, is still very questionable in a lot of ways. And I told you this was going to be a DK breakout year. I had no basis for saying that. I just had a feeling. And up until this point, they are getting him the ball, and he is balling out. Jackson Smith and Jigba has taken over the possession role from Lockett, and Lockett is still there playing good. Geno is diming that ball up, and that passing attack is looking really good. And a lot of that is because of their play action, their run game's working. So that won't stop against Detroit. As long as you keep running the ball, even if you're not getting yards, everybody knows that still gives your play action time to work. So their strength on offense is Detroit's weakness. I think Seattle's run defense, though, is weak.
Absolutely.
And Detroit can run the ball with that two-headed monster in Gibbs and Williams.
Montgomery.
Gibbs and Montgomery. So it's going to be very interesting to see which side can get the better of that chess match. Will the Seahawks pass Arsenal be able to overcome Aiden Hutchinson and that pressure, or will that rushing attack of Detroit be able to open up just enough plays in the pass game for Amon-Ra and Jamison Williams? And that's what I'm really interested to see what will happen. I actually think Seattle can sneak this game out, but I'll pick Detroit in a nail biter because I think if you can run the ball that well and you can control the clock, it gives you the slight advantage. Whether you get the ball after or not, I think it gives you the slight advantage when the game comes towards the closing minutes.
I'm
pretty confident I'm going to be going somewhere to watch this game because it's going to be exciting.
You can come to my house, buddy. You can come to my house. We'll make this happen. Aiden Hutchinson is the difference maker here. Like, he is on a tear right now, and
animal. Fear is the mind killer.
Seahawks O-line is not great at all. So I got a feeling the Lions are going to get this game. And I think it'll be close. I don't think it'll be a runaway, but they're at home. They're ready to start building momentum. I think they're gonna send the Seahawks back to earth on this one.
Boom.
There we go. We're done.
Final thought here on the NFL, and then we'll go around the table for our actual final thoughts. I want to get wait. No, wait. From last week's games and then going into this week, I want to hear how you're feeling about Joe Burrow and the Bengals. They always kind of start off slow. We've talked about this, and they kind of get going as the season goes, and they're always there at the end. I personally am starting to see some things, though, the offensive line and that defense, where the question marks seem a little bit bigger than normal, where I am seriously questioning if Joe Burrow can overcome it now.
This was the first game that T. Higgins was back. He's got a lot of rapport with Chase and the guy. I think he's got a Greek name, Isavias or whatever his name is. I think the offense will be fine.
And I don't have questions about
the
offense.
Defense.
More just the offensive line is still a question mark because if Burrow's not protected, he gets hurt. He's not getting time. So the offensive line is still a question, but the defense that was supposed to be better than what they've looked like so far is I'm big question mark for the defense right now for the rest of the season.
The defense is a huge question mark, and you don't have time to F around and find out. You just don't. That's not how the NFL works. The Steelers got a head start. The Browns kind of suck, so maybe you get both of those games. The defense has got to start playing. I know they still had a couple guys out on the D line, so I think that could still be playing a part of it, but they've got to shore it up, man, for sure.
If they don't win this weekend, are they done? Are their playoff chances over? I say absolutely.
Man, they're not done, but it becomes harder because you got to really go on a run. The Broncos were 1-5 last year. They went on a run and still got into the conversation. So it's possible, but that's hard, right? You don't want to have to do that. You don't want to have to go on a pretty good undefeated run. You just want to string wins together, give yourself some leeway, and not make every game a playoff game.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's going to be interesting. There's so many things we could talk about. Final thoughts, Pinky.
Man, excited for the weekend.
NFL final thoughts? Is that what we're doing? Or is this final
Just
thoughts?
final thoughts in general.
Okay.
We didn't talk about Burrow or the Bengals at all. So it was something that had to be discussed based on an 0-3 start. And
all good.
Look, my final thought is, God, the Bears are awful. They are not helping Caleb Williams at all. I don't know. Shane Waldron did pretty good stuff for Geno Smith. He did good stuff for someone else. Like I feel like there's a track record that says he should be able to do some good stuff. But when you got DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, you got decent running backs. Like, there's no reason why the Bears should look this bad on offense. Caleb Williams is just taking a beating every week. And the more they let him take that beating, the worse it's going to get for him.
Dude, every week I just hear that DJ Moore presser from the end of last season where he goes, "What makes you think Justin Fields isn't the guy?" Like, I just keep hearing that in my head over and over again. I'm like, there's no way DJ Moore is happy right now. Like, with what's going on, that dude is not happy right now.
There's 1 to 2 weeks before this is like a major media talking point of the Bears should have stuck with Justin Fields. Like, it's close. We're getting there. We're getting that is an absolute conversation topic. Because man. Justin Fields is winning and Caleb Williams is losing. Caleb Williams put up like, what did I say? Caleb Williams was like the first person to put up like 350, 2 touchdowns. And like, I don't know. I think that was actually fake on Twitter, but he put up 350 and like 2 touchdowns and still like they didn't even look like they were close to winning that game against the Colts. Like, the Colts? Come on, man. So,
and I won't back down from this. I think DJ Moore is a top 5 talent in the league.
I'll give you top 10. I'll give you top 10.
That's fine. You want to say top 10? I'll say top 5. I think if you think about who his quarterbacks have been and the offenses he has played in, and you start going, okay. So yeah, Bears, bad, Pinky. You're right. Robert, final thoughts, good sir.
I was saving this in case anybody else brought it up, which it hadn't. Brett Favre announced he had Parkinson's, so that's pretty rough to hear. I mean, there's a lot of other shit going on there, but that's really tough to hear. So that's unfortunate. Otherwise, looking forward to some better football. I might be out this weekend, so I'll probably be able to catch all the games, so we'll see. But otherwise, no, football. I'm not excited for college this weekend at all. Just because Michigan State's just gonna get murdered, and I don't want to watch it.
Okay, all right. I got 2 final thoughts. One is both exciting and funny all at the same time, but it is legit, and I do urge people to check it out because there's a chance he's going to be even better than his brother. But the younger Raiola brother, who is 16, just committed to Nebraska as a quarterback. He's a lefty, and there's talk that he will be even better than Dylan. So I think that's kind of funny, but serious at the same time. Who knows whatever comes from that. What I will say on a more serious note,
he's got 2 years to change his mind.
He does. So if his brother doesn't turn Nebraska into a decent program and they're winning, he can go somewhere where they are if he's actually that good. So again, funny, but there's some serious stuff behind it. But he is supposed to be legit good, and he's a lefty. And Pinky, you know how I feel about a smooth lefty. So there's that. On a more serious note, though, and this is serious but also funny, Pinky will know this very well. Robert is going to slowly learn this more and more as the years progress, but
yes.
And anybody that's been following us for the years will know that this is a true thing, and I wish it wasn't. My curse is legit.
I'm gathering this.
I can spot some amazing talent, but at least half of that talent I spot is going to burn in epic fashion. And watching Fields and Darnold get chances to finally show their talent. Personally, I'm hoping can somehow break my curse. Selfishly, I'm hoping breaks my curse. But seeing those opportunities, not just from guys that I've talked about, but any guys within the NFL league, I love seeing those guys finally get a chance to shine in a legit opportunity and show people what they're capable of. Because too many times in the NFL, we see organizations ruin talent. And I am of this belief that the greatest football player never played football. He was some carpenter. Or the greatest piano player played basketball and never actually played piano, all because it wasn't their passion. And so we never got to see the best. So when I see talent not get a chance to actually show their talent because of coaching or front office decisions that has nothing to do with the play on the field, I get bummed. So Darnold and Fields are just two really good examples of guys getting to show their potential finally and getting to come out from under really bad situations. So any time we get to see that in any sport, it's something that I really enjoy as a sports fan.
Pinky, go
Yeah,
ahead.
buddy.
There's one other thing I do want to add after your comment that I just realized. So go ahead, though.
I'm good. Go ahead.
Make that comment. Let's go.
So if you value cinema and things, please avoid anything that has recently come out with Gladiator 2. Just don't watch it. Just go see the movie. Avoid everything else because they're already ruining the movie and it's not even out yet. So that's all
Cool.
I want to say. Don't watch any trailers. Don't read any interviews. Anything. Please avoid it. Enjoy the cinema. Don't give.
Yeah,
people the bullshit.
go decide it's a terrible movie for yourself.
Yep. Caleb, in so many words, I couldn't have said it better. Thank you.
Until then, do not take those moments with your loved ones, inner circle, family, friends, whoever you consider that to be, for granted. Cherish them. Take advantage of them. Always take advantage of those opportunities when they're presented to you. To everyone that supports us, again, we're cheesy. We know it. Cliche. We don't care. We cannot thank you enough. It does mean the world to us. Until next week, holler at us. We're out.
See ya.
Peace.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east.